Let me guess you.
Me? Yeah, what
You're an Aries, like me.
No.
Okay. You're a happy birthday, Pisces. It just passed.
Way off.
Okay. Way off. That means you're a Libra like my mom.
Negative.
You're the Scorpio.
No, I'm not.
You're the Sagittarius.
Negative.
Capricorn.
Yes, there you go.
That's not that opposite. Rodrigo Torres.
Hey, what's happening?
Welcome to Checkitow.
Check it out.
You got the Yeah Man podcast. You're also the co-host on What's Up Fool. We had Felipe Esparza here.
What's
recently.
up, fool?
I wanted to, take him out the talk so that I could understand him better. He decided to do the entire thing without it. But I think we got it. The transcriptions came out
Perfect.
almost perfect.
Don't worry, man. If I ever do with you, it's placebo weed.
That's hilarious. So, man, talk to me a little bit about what has been like the past couple of years. You've been doing stand-up comedy for a while, but the podcast thing is really becoming a big thing. How has that helped you in your comedy career, like transitioning just from the stage to doing something like we're doing? It's funny
you asked that question because I was talking to a fellow podcaster and a comedian, Martin Rizzo. I don't know if you know who he is,
right.
But nevertheless, that's the gentleman I was talking to earlier in the day today. And it helps with even becoming a better comedian. It's cliche to say now because I think a couple podcasters may be saying it, or a handful, whatever. And it really helps you out as far as just grabbing the mic and start talking and just clicking right with the audience, because sometimes it takes you a little bit to catch your rhythm, your footing. You have to have, obviously your timing, but you want to pace yourself too, So it's helped out in like that, being kind of a bit more fearless, or actually removing that fear factor, even though you get a little nervous before, nevertheless, always. But yeah, it's helped with that.
What about working with Felipe? How did you guys get together?
Well, I met him. It's a trip. I've known him since 2001. When I graduated college, I went to a spot in Montebello called, at that time it was called Tortillas, underground Latino comedy spot, dude. It was him, it was Felipe Esparza and Willie Barcena's room at that time. And Gabriel would go in there and close it out at night. And in between, you have a bunch of good comedians and people that started doing comedy. So I went out there on a suggestion of another comedian. Hey, what are you doing over here? Go over there. And I went over there and pretty much been friends ever since. So it's been that long. But as far as touring with him, I understand him. Everybody's a stand-up, so you go do your own show. Mm-hmm. So I go out there, I open the show, and yeah, dude, it's cool. And then on the show, it's chemistry. We already kind of know where he's going or trail along, and added my little ones and twos. I don't want to be the annoying co-host. So yeah, dude, it's cool, dude, and that's pretty much a shape of it, or at least a glimpse into what it is we do.
How has working with Felipe changed your stand-up?
My stand-up is that I just go to quality clubs now. You know what I mean?
What do you think about the comedy scene in LA right now? I mean, I feel like the LA comedy scene is number one right now, right? It used to be like New York. It goes back and forth between New York. But now it seems like LA is the epicenter for comedy.
It's booming, and you see a lot of popular comedian podcasters on those shows. But not unfortunately, but I'm just not part of that scene. You know what I mean? It would be rad to be part of that scene. But the whole thing, I guess, is to go over there and hang out and see what transpires.
You're talking about hanging out at the Comedy Store.
Comedy Store, and all that's pretty much the hottest spot of comedy in the country right now.
It's actually one of the hottest clubs in the country, not just comedy. It's almost like a velvet rope club in South Beach now. You go there and it's a huge crowd.
Yeah. It's crazy what that place has become. I used to go there probably about 5-6 years ago, even longer than that. Rick Ramos was a regular there, and he would put me up on his shows, and it was kind of dead 10 years ago. But I mean, it's booming. It's almost unbelievable what's going down over there right now.
Now, what do you think about...
But it's great, though. I mean, nevertheless, if I'm not a part of it or not, dude,
right.
You know what I mean? I'm doing my own little thing on the road, trying to cultivate a following with the podcast that I co-host, the Yeah Man podcast, which is mine.
And how has the Latino comedy scene evolved over the past few years? As the comedy scene in general,
it seems like there's not even a Latino comedy scene anymore. Okay. Like I said, when I started, it was Tortillas. Everybody would drop in. People that are stars now. You know what I mean? And now it doesn't seem like there's any spots where there's a Latino show, or they'll be oh, this is the Latino comedy jam, and it's 2 Latinos, 3 black guys, and a white dude. I'm not dissing anybody that's not Latino, but that's not a Latino show. A Latino show is everybody's Latino, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that doesn't exist anymore. There was guys that had rooms in LA, at the Ice House, very popular shows that are not even around anymore. You know what I mean? Tortillas.
Yeah, they got rid of a lot of stuff. I mean, I was mentioning before the show, Richard Villa.
Yeah. He had a long show.
Refried Fridays.
At the Improv. And that was a long-standing
And
show.
it was sold out every Friday because I remember doing it and it was packed. Why don't those shows still go on?
I have no idea, dude. And I don't know what happened with that show. But it's a trip, too, that I don't know. I don't know if it's a value. I don't know if It's funny, like, about the booming comedy scene. There was a African American comedian that said, "Yeah, but that scene is very Caucasian."
That's funny.
So it's funny though because that seems like all gone now. Everybody's kind of trying to shoot for the mainstream, and like the subculture, I mean, is like it's there, but it's not there. You know what I mean? Latino comedians are out there, but as far as like a place like where Latino comedians like go in and like tear it up, and like everybody's like Latino in the crowd, and everybody knows about your culture, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And whether you're Cuban or Mexican, but just like even in SoCal,
right.
I think that's has evaporated. I mean, another thing too that you can look at, this is a factor brought up by other folks, is that free shows too like diminish the art form itself. If it's like, you know what I mean? That if you're papering shows and tickets less valuable. Even like that place Tortillas in 2001 when I would go there, dude.
Right.
I would drive from Riverside and go there. There was a line around the building and everybody was paying $5.
Right.
You know what I mean? But and that's pretty much I started. I didn't exactly start there, but that's where I got my foot in on the Latino scene that existed back then. There's a lot of dudes that are doing shows now, like Benny Mena, Cisco's one of them, that still have kind of little Latino shows, but again, it's not strictly Latino.
But you know what's crazy? When I go to the general shows, like at the Comedy Store especially, a good portion of the crowd of every show is Latino.
Latino, yeah. But you got a couple performers, you know what I mean, that are sprinkled in there. But yeah.
Who do you see coming up right now? Who are the rising comedians?
As far as like how, like in what?
Latino.
Latino? Dudes that you see doing well. I mean, we had Amir K on the podcast. He's not Latino.
That's funny. You know what's funny? You bring him
Latino.
up. Well,
he was on the What's Up Full podcast yesterday.
Okay,
Super cool dude that I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, he's a friend of a friend of mine, Alex Soliaga, who's another comedian. They did a couple of videos. Did you ever see his short, Amir K short, Hollywood Said No?
No. Well, I gotta watch it.
Hilarious. It's with my friend. It's with my friend Alex Soliaga. When I see Amir K, I'm like, I actually have a script, and there's a Cuban role in it, but I want a Cuban American, like a guy from Miami, and I want him to play it, even though he's not Cuban. Because I think he can pull it off.
He can, and he has some acting chops. He's been on the silver screen, dude.
Yeah.
Wasn't gonna say, but
so even though
who's coming up? Oh no, I didn't want to.
Francisco Ramos.
No,
Jesus Trejo.
I seen. Actually, was gonna bring up Jesus too, but there's like Marcela Arguello, a lady.
Oh yeah, woman, she's great.
That are coming up that you see.
She's
like,
so tall. I think she's Salvadorian.
Yeah, she's Salvadorian.
She's the tallest Salvadorian I've ever met in my life. Not the tallest Salvadorian woman. The tallest Salvadorian. And by the way, I don't think she's Salvadorian. She might be Guatemalan or Nicaraguan. But the same thing applies.
Right.
She's like 6'7".
Yeah, I think.
I can't get over how tall she is.
6 something. But yeah, she's definitely tall.
I love how we just.
No worries, bro.
Where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in Riverside, California.
Riverside in Corona.
Yeah, I was actually born in Corona.
There's a skate park that I've gone to Corona to like shoot some stuff with BMX guys.
Oh hell yeah.
Well, how do you know that you get to Corona?
I don't know the smell of citrus. Not anymore though. But yeah.
That's now I feel like it smells like farms because they got a lot of cow farms.
That's like
there.
Eastvale, which now Eastvale, but originally it was like Mariloma. Yeah. All this stuff came from like Norwalk on down this way. Now it's up in the high desert.
What's it like to grow up in the IE? Is the Inland Empire, does that count as Riverside? Or is
Riverside
that's
part of
like what? Because it's not like growing up in LA. I mean, once you pass East LA, you're going into like this other thing.
Yeah, I mean it's still California. I mean people act like it's like
California,
totally like different than East LA. But I remember one time.
But it's different from like the city.
Right. Like a guy said one time, what are they talking about in LA, man? Just because they grew up in an apartment and you grew up in a house. You know what I mean? There's more space. I mean,
definitely
there's a lot of motocross, BMX where I'm from, as you know, with that skate park, stuff like that. Not that there's a lot more outdoor activities, but it's a lot more rugged with terrain and stuff like that.
So I mean, you don't
a lot of partying in the hills.
Yeah, that's true. There's not like an inner city type of thing going on. Although you do have
you have elements of that now, just because it's like really getting it's the population's going up. Right. A lot of people from Orange County, a lot of people from Los Angeles are
Did you guys speak Spanish growing up?
We spoke Spanish always bilingual. It was mostly like Spanish in the house, and as soon as we went to school, it would be like straight English.
That's how it was for me in Miami. But like my parents are first generation, but I have a lot of Mexican friends who are like 80. They grew up in the 80s, and their parents and grandparents were already living here, and they didn't want them to speak Spanish at all. So they're like learning Spanish now.
Yeah. There's some that don't even. I mean, my wife, she's Mexican, full Mexican. She doesn't know Spanish.
Really?
Yeah. She doesn't speak Spanish. Her folks do, but
she's full-blooded Mexican. But she's born here. Her parents were born here.
Yeah, her. Actually, both her folks are from here.
Do you bother her? Do you ever curse at her in Spanish? Like, this is your chance.
No, dude, not even.
Yeah, you don't want to hold it over her head. You're speaking to her in Spanish and say, "Look."
No, we just communicate in English. But
she's a Scorpio, isn't she?
No, she's not.
Okay, she's a Sagittarius.
No.
Look, this is a first, Maria. Because I'm talking to Maria over here. I'm actually trying to guess somebody's sign who's not even here. All right, let me guess. First, let me guess you.
Me? Yeah.
You're an Aries, like me.
No.
Okay, you're a. Happy birthday, Pisces. You just passed.
Way off.
Okay. Way off. That means you're a Libra like my mom.
Negative.
You're the Scorpio.
No, I'm not.
You're the Sagittarius.
Negative.
Capricorn.
Yes, there you go.
That's not that opposite. You say really opposite. Pisces, I'm thinking the opposite side of the
Yeah,
year.
and I don't even know about the signs. I mean, honestly, I know. I think they're baloney, but...
I totally... And my family and my friends back at home in Miami are like, what is happening to you out in Los Angeles that you keep asking people about their signs? And like,
but isn't there some hardcore Cubans that practice Santeria?
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
but they're not into
though.
the zodiac. But
Okay.
yes, they do. Now,
Like, that's more spiritual stuff, right?
I mean, it's all spiritual, but it's more like they do animal sacrifices. They'll do.
But right, but in ancient Judea, they used to go out there and like sacrifice a lamb. You know,
they're
everybody
still doing
touches the lamb.
it.
Yeah, there you go.
There's parts. There's parts of Miami where it's like more Cubans that come from Cuba now, especially
Really?
like, Afro Cubans that are like fresh off the boat, as we like to say. And you go into their yard and there's chickens running across the yard, and they're not like growing chickens or trying to like harvest their eggs. They're gonna use that chicken in a ritual. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the hardcore Santeria. But I'm actually interested in a lot of that because you know what Santeria is? It's basically a mixture of the African religion with Catholicism.
They brought that
they
from
were trying
Africa,
to like,
bro.
they were trying to like mix it up and do it on the sly. But there's no now we have like in Mexico you have like the Day of the Dead culture. Is there like Santeria elements in that? And like do you have brujeria?
I'll be honest with you, dude. Like my I never even knew about Day of the Dead till at school, and then it started becoming slightly more popular about the last 15 years. But they
Especially
never
with Coco.
Yeah, totally. And they never burned candles for our dead or whatever. When we would go to Mexico.
So you didn't have So and this I did have.
No,
a lot
there was
no
Malverde, none of that.
But
stuff
there was my next door neighbor right outside the house. This is like right outside the house. Just like if you go to some places like in East LA or the IE, you'll see a tiny little chapel looking thing, with like a critic, and then inside you have Mary and a bunch of saints, and then like fresh apples. This was my next door neighbor, by the way.
What's up with that? He was a Mexican guy?
No, he was Cuban.
Oh,
but
Cuban.
This was like I said that. But there's Mexicans that do this too.
Yeah,
well,
why
they'll
is that,
have
though?
like the statue of Mary or the saints outside the house and a little chapel.
I've seen that stuff.
And fresh fruit. I've seen this here in LA as well.
No, I've seen it in LA, but that's usually they put it up when like somebody dies or got shot in the corner or
and
something,
like a
right?
candle. No, so these people do this day in, day out. I guess they know somebody getting shot every day.
Yeah, but as far as that, we never practiced like Dia de los Muertos. Now we, of course, you acknowledge everything's going on. You got these skulls. You go to Mexico City, you get a bunch of bomb ass looking art that you can buy. You know what I mean?
Now, have you ever? One thing that I'm getting in touch with is like indigenous spirituality, especially when it comes to like the use of psychedelics and things like that. Do you know about that?
What, like ayahuasca?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I never tried that. It's kind of scary. I'm good, dude. There's some doors you don't want to open.
Ooh, that's a good way to put it.
I've tried them, dude. It was cool. It was like one time like super cool, and another time it was like really not cool.
Because you were probably at a party around a lot of people.
Yeah, this is what I think about that drug, dude. Or I don't even want to call it. It's actually a fungus. Whatever you want to classify.
The New Age community likes to call psychedelics medicine.
I think it, dude. If you go back to ancient civilizations and like you're going back to your indigenous roots.
Right.
A lot of people use that, and it's also linked to being development of the human brain and all that. So, but I want to say about that in particular, the effects of it, or when you consume them, is that you really have to be in really good, positive places.
Absolutely.
If you have somebody that's around you with some weird little negative aggression, it'll really if you're a joyful person that really, I don't even want to say like. That really appreciates it. You're a cool person, and you should want to have fun. And if you're around that, I think it like derails your journey.
Absolutely. So
it's all, and again, it goes back to being spiritual. Your senses, all types of things going on at the same time. Whereas one little gesture, a nod, a word, a phrase could be like, "Oh, dude, really." And then something else can intensify that downward, so to say, or so to speak, spiral, because you see another like event or another episode of stuff that you don't like.
Well, that's why when you do so when you do when you use ayahuasca mushrooms, psychedelics in a spiritual ceremony, and typically an indigenous ceremony, or it could be
you have to have a priest and all that
a
stuff,
shaman
too,
and all that
right?
stuff.
There you go.
You have to do it in a ceremonial setting, in a ritual. So when you do ayahuasca, number one, you're not talking to anyone. You got a little mat over there. You drink the drink. You go back to the mat, and you're hanging out by yourself in your head. I know that, like, and that's why I'm even though I talk about these things, and I'm definitely not promoting people using these things at parties. I guess maybe if you go to a cool concert, Pink Floyd, whatever. But
I think with any stuff that's classified as a drug or whatever, whether that's a herbal or that comes from the earth, I think you should wait till your brain is fully developed.
Oh, absolutely.
23 years old.
Definitely not advocating for young people.
Yeah.
But even once you're fully formed, and there's a difference between psychedelics and narcotics. Narcotics being the opioids, the cocaine, that kind of stuff. That numbs you. Yeah, that numbs you. That's not spiritual.
Even alcohol, dude.
Alcohol is part of that too. So, and then there's psychedelics. The psychedelics are the cannabis, the psilocybin, the different kinds of mushrooms, the ayahuasca. They activate DMT in your brain. And those can be abused in all the wrong ways as well. But what psychedelics do is that they open up your senses in a way that you can perceive things, you can think about things creatively, you can think about things spiritually. To me, I believe that you're kind of like accessing that. So if, like you said, if you're in a crazy setting with people that like rub you the wrong way, or it's a negative environment, and not in a nice ceremonial setting that people made an effort to light the candles, put on the right music, make your little space, you know what I'm saying? It can go wrong.
Yeah, man.
So I definitely recommend if people do them, to do them in the way that the ancient people used to do them. They took them very seriously. It wasn't necessarily a party. It wasn't a recreational thing. It was like work. You're going to face yourself at this point.
It's another like level in your life.
But then people do them the wrong way. Like you might have done it. Oh, yeah, let's do it at a party. And we're all over here. And Pepe over
I've
here is
always
giving me
been
a hard
like
time.
questionable about drugs anyway, just from being a kid and hearing stories about some guy smoking PCP
and jumping off the roof.
Yeah, stuff like that. Or somebody like just having a bad trip and never coming back, dude. You know what I mean? Like, or getting like all types of flashbacks. So
well,
I never wanted to be like one of those dudes affected for the rest of my life. So
I know a couple of people like that.
Yeah,
I know a couple of people that
There's
went
a guy
into
in
the
my
hospital.
neighborhood. I don't know if you haven't seen him in a long time, but I guess since that guy was in high school, he did some PCP, and all he does is do karate kicks. Walks down the street. Goes to the store. His mom gives him $5 a day. It's like if you one way is like maybe he's still on his little journey that he did when he hit that drug that he did, or is it like a waste of a life? Who knows? Whatever's going on, but we ask people to get up every day and go to work. It's brutal.
It might be both. Do you have?
Totally.
I mean, looking back, I'm actually I got a couple people that I know. It's not like I come from like the hood or anything like that, but I did have a couple friends that like went down the wrong path. And there's one particular friend that you look up his name, you can see you can see all the mugshots from over the years.
The evolution.
So you see him from like 18 to like now, like, and you gray hair, like aging. He's drugs, drug dealing, all that kind of stuff. And do you have any friends like that you look back and you just, man, they really did just like make a left and
a handful
right.
of friends and people that I used to know, dude, and people that I've seen that I never really met, but they were in and around my life.
What kept you from going down the wrong path?
Dude, you don't want to. Like my parents would just tell us, dude, just don't embarrass us, don't disappoint. You know what I mean?
That's a good Mexican
one thing,
family.
Whatever
Don't
you're gonna do,
us.
like if you ain't getting me, whatever you're gonna do, just don't embarrass us. That's it.
Have you ever embarrassed them on the comedy stage?
No, they had never even seen me perform, dude. And I'm one of those comedians that when I did comedy for a long time, I did it for a long time before even people knew that I knew would come and see me, stuff like that, because I didn't want to suck in front of them, you know what I mean? And I still, and not that I even have the fear now, I don't even give a shit.
But you'd rather play in front of a bunch of strangers.
Yeah, because that's, I know my stuff works.
But do you invite friends or family now?
No, dude, I really don't. Like, if they want to come out, they can buy a ticket, or if they want to come out certain shows on where I can't provide.
Well, they have to know that you're doing a podcast with one of the most famous Latino comedians
friends
in the world.
Friends do come
right
out.
now.
Like, I'll be sitting there at the end of the show, and they'll come out, hey, what up? We came out. Some people would send me a message through social media, hey, we're going to go see it tonight.
Let's be honest, you personally don't want to. It's an added stress if you're thinking about your set and you're about to go on and you know that there's like 5 to 10 friends and family.
No,
it's not
the added stress to me is making the entire room laugh. I don't care about those 4 or 5. That'll be easy because I know I can make them laugh already. They already know me. It's not like they're waiting to go see you fail or
some friends and friends do come to see you fail. Let's
look
be
at
honest
stand up now, like opposed to it used to be back in the day, because you're doing it now again. You did it back in the day. Now a lot of people bring their friends of the show to cheer them on.
Oh, and you
back
got all
in the day,
you hear that, yeah.
Back in the day, it was like, you better be funny or we're gonna bag on you or heckle you from the audience.
The thing is, I guess I have really crappy friends, but like when I started inviting especially when I did my first show back in Miami, where I put together like a big show, I did like half an hour, and it was just
was your first show ever?
No, that was my first show in Miami.
Oh, okay,
So I did stand up a lot for like 2 years, and I would do it here, and my friends from out here, they come and you know they're not there to laugh and support me. The support is that they showed up. They're gonna sit there and judge me. And if I fail, it was worth coming out to watch it, to see me, because you know what I'm saying, like you know how friends can be, like they're like, oh my god, this guy's bomb. In Miami, I made the mistake, man. It was the first time that I did stand up back in Miami.
Hometown shows.
Yeah,
people.
And I packed the room, but everybody in the room was a friend and family member. So they were sitting there just trying to take it all in, trying to be like even if they thought something was funny, they weren't really laughing out loud because they were in judgment mode, you know? So they were all and
that sucks because, dude, they're going out to a show in order to enjoy themselves and watch stand-up comedy. You know?
Right.
And not to say that like the audience is a part of it, because they are, you know, whether they're being a good audience or not, because you can't do stand-up in front of a mirror. But it's like, damn, what the fuck? I mean, I almost don't even get it, dude. But I mean, I can see where I could be judgmental of somebody, but in the end, I don't give a fuck.
But you seem like a really nice guy.
I'm cool. I mean, I
know people that are not that nice.
The coolest guy in the world, but dude, I mean, if you have something negative to say about me, I think you have to check yourself, and that's my whole humble opinion about myself: to be a better human than I was yesterday. You know what I mean? And be a better, or just be a good person overall, a good citizen.
There you go. Okay.
You know what I mean? It's funny because a friend of mine, Jerry O'Neill, yeah, man, cool, whatever, gave me a book, the Good Citizens Handbook, for my birthday when I was like 18 or something, or 19. And if you look at it, it's a book about values. And as funny as it sounds, if you abide by those principles, I think even if you're not like everybody in LA is a hustler, or everybody has a way to do things, or everybody's on it, dude, I think you'll be all right no matter what. You know, as long as you can, you can plug in the pegs into the holes, you'll be all right, dude. It's not rocket science, even if it was.
Yeah, it's close sometimes. What is the difference between the audiences here in Southern California and the ones that you perform at in the middle of the country?
Well, I was going to tell you, we just got back from Miami, and that was the show we did with Felipe.
Did you do the Miami Improv?
Yeah, do the new one. And let me tell you something, dude. Everywhere I go, and that's, I don't know if it's a natural filter. Again, it's like, you know, if my friends are there, it'll be like more of a support cushion, or like some type of a jockstrap. But I never had that. But when I first started touring, I would go to these new cities and kind of be intimidated on people to make these people laugh.
Right.
Am I too Latino? I look Latino. Right. My act's Latino. Like, it's a trip. And then another guy's going, I can't fuck up the show, dude.
Right.
You know, and, you know, you get checked a couple times. What are you doing, dude? Are you fucking around or what? Like, do your shit. But, the first time I went to Miami, I was scared and did well. The second time, I was kind of scared, did well. And like now I don't care, and it's really good. And it's even, and that's, I mean, I don't know, again, goes back to your original question in the beginning about how has the development or evolution of the podcast or the podcast itself help you out and stuff like that. Now it's kind of like, not that like a lot of them are my audience or know about me, or maybe a couple of them do because of the podcast, but you still got to bring the funny, you know, you got to do your act. And are they different? Yeah, dude. But you know what though? One thing about Miami, and I've always loved, is they have flavor out there, dude. And it's a very distinct flavor.
Yeah.
That flavor has mystique. Not like, it's not artificial, and it's come from the soul. Because the thing is with Cuban people, hablan del corazón, ¿me entiende? Aquí yo te voy a dar unos detalles que no te vas a entender. Simplemente si no estamos en la misma página, coño, entiéndeme, te estoy diciendo la verdad. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that was a great Joey Diaz impersonation.
Exactly, and that's what it is. But a lot of those guys son gente bien graciosa, you know what I mean? But, and you know, the thing is, like, you catch a Cuban dude on the corner, even if he's lying, dude, it's like, all right, you can have a cigarette, motherfucker. Here's a buck. Or like, you know what? I'll buy that book from you, dude. You're that convincing.
They always have a story.
Yeah, totally, dude. Like, So, but on top of that, like his people and his crowd, and you don't want to be a little too raunchy. You don't know if people are gonna feel your shit, but they're very like they absorb it, dude, and they rock with you, dude. Same, all of Florida, really, and a lot of like even like I would go back up to Jersey and New York with like Puerto Rican people, Venezuelan people, Ecuadorian people, Peruvian people, and that sprinkle of Mexican, which now is more all up and down the eastern seaboard, is that there's nothing but love out there, and that authentic love, like dude, this is a trip, dude, because, and this is special to me, but in the end, it felt like I messed up. Because after the show, I slang Felipe's merchandise. That fool there, he takes pictures with people and his fans, and another comic takes photos, right? So we're all like a little team working in essence for the boss. So to keep the show going smoothly and whatever. And we're talking about the last 2 times we've been to Miami, about this guy that we met in Miami the first time we went out there. A Cuban dude with long hair and shit, dude, like, but a party animal. Like, dude, this dude was like a contractor, like he did concrete, but still out there fucking partying until like 3 in the morning and shit. It's like, what are you gonna do tomorrow? I gotta do a bid, I'm gonna wake up at 6 in the morning and go take care of business. I was like, God damn, dog, it's 3, bro. Shit you would do when you were younger, or, last night. Who gives a fuck? But so this dude is like, he goes up to the fool and he tells him, he's like, this is my card, and I know how to partay. And we seen him again. We hung out with him. We're in the parking structure. He's all, bienvenido a mi techo. You know what I mean? Lights up a J, you know what I mean? And we're like, dude, like really, like, dude, it's giving you the whole authentic Miami sensibility. And we haven't seen him for years, dude. And the last show, and I did my set. I didn't even recognize him. I went up there up front, and that fool's on stage, and he's all starts freaking out. And homeboy is in the audience with his daughter. And it's funny because he's with his daughter because we were hanging out with some girls the first time we were in Miami. The girls were there with a guy, right? And the guy was a little older, and they're all, oh my God, how old are you? It doesn't matter. And he was like, yeah, let me tell you this. I got a daughter. You got a daughter? Like women can be snobbier girls, in their youth. And then he was like, is that against the law? Like, very good comebacks again. Yeah. So I told that story when that fool paused doing it and said, he's all fool. And I popped out of the side door, and I told that story to the audience died. I closed the door, and like, dude, it felt so good. And then after the show, he comes by the merch booth, and we're like, hey, what up? We're going to hang out. Gave him a big hug. And I didn't take a picture. I don't know if Felipe did, but homeboy, it was cool. He's like, yeah, be over here. And then we've been back there. It was the last Sunday. You settle up, you do whatever you have to do. And we did get to hang out with him. So wherever you are, bienvenido a mi techo. We'll see you one day. Next time, dog. Miami, nothing but love.
I love it.
La Carreta, fucking Versailles. Oof. Forget about it.
That's
dog.
The real deal. Holyfield.
Oh no, you can't mess with it. Even though I love Portos and what they have out here.
But now you know in the Miami.
Oh, dude.
The thing is that everybody thinks that Portos is. And by the way, much love to Portos.
Yeah.
Okay, they're from the same town as my grandmother. My grandmother actually knows the family, Manzanillo, Cuba. But here's what Portos did, right? There's different versions of Cuban cuisine, just like there's different versions and takes of Mexican cuisine. Yeah, totally. Portos, like, they have a bunch of things that they do really well. You get the pastelitos, you get the croquetas, you get all the stuff, but they do it their way a little bit. Like their pastelitos are a little flakier. I like the ones in Miami that are a little more glazed.
Yeah, and they're not as flaky. They don't go everywhere.
Yeah,
not like
exactly.
Kind of like what I want to say, like well, not a strudel, but what are those? Like a croissant, they get too flaky.
Right.
And you know what's crazy? This is the first time I had a coconut one. Oh my
amazing,
God.
Right?
I always did the guayaba and cheese, but forget about it. Well, the coconut, that's
for
my
me,
new
it's
shit
guava,
right there,
pure guava. I love guava.
Oh, okay.
But here's the here's the thing. There's a place called Gigi's by Echo Park that has the gooey pastelitos.
Okay.
Instead of the flaky ones.
Where is it?
That's on like Temple Street.
Okay.
It's called Gigi's, Gigi. Yeah, and it's a bunch of Cubans that work there, and there's completely disorganized. Like really, because Portos is like they got Mexicans are more organized.
No, it's Americanized in the sense that they have a system. Like
that's
it's capitalism.
This one is like you gotta like shout at the person, and then they forget your order, and then you lose them.
It's chaos. It's chaos.
Yes, it's chaos. And I want the Cubans
good chaos.
But the good chaos. But here's what Portos did, bro. They came to LA where no one knew about Cuban food, right? Because there wasn't a lot of Cubans back in the day when they started here. And they're like, oh, man, people are going to love these pastelitos.
Cuban sandwich.
Cuban sandwiches, you're gonna love it. But we're not gonna advertise so much that this is Cuban food. We're gonna advertise that this is Porto's. So if you go to Porto's,
right?
If you go to Porto's, you can read the thing and find
like
out that people came from Cuba.
Yeah.
But it's not like this Cuban is Cuban food, right? So a lot of people go there and they think that it's this place's.
Porto doesn't even sound Spanish. You know what I mean?
Right.
All right. You know,
Porto.
yeah.
Right. But it's kind of, and then they when I first got there, I actually got mad because instead of saying like pastelitos, you can just put pastry. I see strudel, like guava strudel. I'm like, guava strudel? You go to Miami, go ask for a guava strudel in Miami. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're trying to appeal to like white people and Asians, but there's Mexicans here too. They understand. You can just put pastelito, you can pastry. And I was happy to get all the food, but I'm like, you guys aren't letting people know this is Cuban food. Yeah, some people know this is Cuban food, but I think that they kind of try to own it. Like, this is our recipe. These are our family's recipe. These are Cuban recipes that you're putting your spin on, but it's still Cuban recipes.
Right,
so
it's not like
I was there trying to lecture. I'm like telling people, and they're like, "Do you guys know this is Cuban food?" Because I'm like, I just get here from from Miami. I get here to LA, and I'm feeling finally kind of my first Cuban pride because I'm outside of Miami.
How long you been here for?
I've been here for like 12 years now. So now I'm like, LA. No, my family. I tell my family I'm here to stay. But I'm in Porto telling people, you guys know this is Cuban food, right? I'm just saying, you guys know this is Cuba, all right? You don't? What do you think you were? What do you think
funny,
this is?
Man.
So that's my little issue with Portos. But no, I go back to Miami now. I have culture shock because Miami is, like you said.
Dude, this last time, dog, there's this place called El Palacio de los Jugos, dog. Oh my God, dog. Like, that was like from the root right here. Like, La Carreta's the shit. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, dog.
But here you're outside.
God, dude! Like,
were you wondering?
You can pick out which one right there. You're just like you're in the kitchen. Like,
but which one? Was it 57th?
It was
Avenue?
on the corner, dude.
Yeah, and you're outside. It's like an outdoor underneath.
It was right outside Doral.
I think that's one of the newer ones. The original one's on 57th Avenue on Red Road, and you're like, you wonder how these people pack up when there's a hurricane.
It might have been.
But. It's all the fruits.
Oh, yeah. Those,
the batido de mamey.
Dude, on top of that, dude, those are bomb, dude. But you know what, dude? The other thing that is good as fuck is jugo de caña.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Fresh.
It's refreshing as hell.
Yeah, dude.
Now, Cuban food is one thing the Cubans don't have, and that like Mexicans don't understand, is that they don't put a lot of like spicy stuff on their food. I actually like spicy food. When I came here, I love Mexican food for that. I love all the different spices and all the different stuff. And I was always a kid, like I discovered Tabasco and like I want spice. But Cubans, because they're so accelerated, I think that they can't have any more spice or heat in their food.
And if they do, it's only like Louisiana hot sauce on the side. It's not
that much. It's
and
super
like
light.
Chili Willy, that's a good little sauce, a little bottle sauce. But it's good. I like it because they mess around with pork a lot. You know what I mean? And pork is just like if you've never had lechon or something like that, Cuban side. And I still never been to a family's backyard where they go put the little cochino in
la cajachina.
In deep pit.
Okay, we'll have to.
I've never had one like that, dude. Like authentic homemade food. But let me tell you, man, it's another level. And they give you that little chicharrón, the skin from the top. It's like you can't mess with it. And I love chicharrones, Mexican style and everything. But man, like you know what I mean. That's one of those.
Here's what I want to do.
If you're on death row and have one of those meals, they'll be
from
La Carreta right there.
Oh, for sure. I want to send you the next time you and Felipe are in Miami. I want to send you guys to a backyard. If I can't be there, it's even funnier. I'm gonna find a friend or a family member that's cooking some lechon that has a cajachina, and I'm gonna be like, listen, I'm gonna send over a couple of big Mexican comedians. All right, show them what it's like to have a Cuban barbecue back there, and just trust me on them. And you guys are gonna show. I can imagine Felipe, bro. Hey.
But it's funny that you said that. But the only thing he's gonna miss out is because he's vegan, so he's gonna be all like,
right,
he's gonna be hitting those. That's all he was hitting last time, or when we were there. Just like him and our homie Johnny just hitting the bananas, the beans, and the rice, which is killer too. Right. And that's one thing we seen over there in El Palacio de los Jugos was the different types of rices.
Oh yeah, because a lot of people.
Is that the yellow rice? That's more like a paella rice, Spanish rice.
Exactly.
And it has.
And then there's
Cristiano.
There's so many politically incorrect names. There's Cristianos y Moros, which is the dark rice with the beans cooked together, and then there's the good old fashioned white rice, and then you pour the black beans on top, and then there's the yellow rice. That's more paella.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All bomb.
I love rice.
Dude,
I'm a rice slut. I can eat it. That's why I love Asian food too.
Asian food is a bomb as well, dude.
What do you like to joke around like your stand-up set? How has it evolved over the years?
It's evolved. Expand. Like now I talk about being married. That and trying to the trials of like having to have sex now. Like not that like you don't have sex, but just you have sex differently after you've been together for a while.
How so?
But that immigration, little homeless people, it's little stuff, little historical.
How do you feel about immigration?
How do I feel about it? It's funny because the law is a law, right? Emotion is emotion, and I think it's clashing right now. But it's a trip, dude. It's different ways. How do you look at it? Are you for immigration? And when you say you're for immigration, are you for legal immigration, which is the only really immigration there is, right? Or are you for just people like, what exactly, what sub issues are you talking about for immigration? Are you talking about the dreamers?
Right.
Are you talking about, people that have criminal past that should get kicked out or in a holding tank right now and are going to get kicked out? You know what I mean? What are we talking about?
I think right now
it's very emotional, and the whole thing is, especially with our current commander in chief, everybody's like shouting out to call someone racist, this and that. Whether even the president before was deporting people at a rapid pace, so was the president before him, and then the president before him as well, and then the president before him, which is Ronald Reagan, was granted amnesty. You know what I mean? And then that's when my friend Armando Cosillo says, "No, that's when all the paisas pulled out the hat, the boots and the hat." And where you don't even care. You're like, yeah, I got amnesty. Me la pela and play my music all loud.
But that's the interesting thing where I'm kind of reading your perspective, because it comes from a place where you were born here and you have a couple of generations at least.
Well, my grandfather was born here, and then when they were living in Cutler, California, in Tulare County, and it got real tough out here with the Depression, so they went back to Mexico. And my great grandmother's mom had land over there, so they went over there and farmed it and stayed there. And then and my grandfather was pretty much raised there as a kid, and then came back and worked, but had his family in Mexico. He was a seasonal worker of Bracero at one point as well, on both of my mom's side, mother and father side. And but the way I look at him, I do believe people do need to have a chance.
Right.
I do believe, if you didn't get busted but you crossed over illegally 40 years ago, and you already been here this is your life, what circumstance was it or whatnot, you never committed a crime, all you did was work, and you became legal through amnesty, whatever,
that
right?
Should be, I think that if you spend a certain amount of time here and you entered illegally, but you spend a certain amount of time here and you have no criminal record, you've done everything
and then you have other stuff too, which you don't think about now. And I have a buddy that works for Rise. He's from Tijuana, born and raised, dude, you know what I mean? And he when 9/11 changed with the border and homeland security, when all that changed from border customs, all that, he was part of that. And all he takes is like people that committed murders and just vile stuff, child molesters, things like that. But also what's happened now, I used to hear stories as a kid where to come back and forth to Mexico as far as to pay a coyote was $500, $400. Now it's more. It's like 5 Gs.
But you can't, and I've crossed the border many times. Sometimes I don't even think about this, but you can drive through the border, though, right? If you're a Mexican citizen, you can drive unless there's something on record where you committed a crime. They let you
through. There's a warrant or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's on trying to come back or get in is where you get stifled that much more. Now they have a bunch of cool stuff facial recognition stuff going on. It's all high tech down there now.
Wow.
It's crazy. But what I wanted to get to was the downside to that. Now they extort people's family for extra money once they have you, and also you can go as far as human trafficking, stuff like that. My buddy says people that they pay money and then they'll dump them on the other side and leave them there, or won't even dump them on the side that's over and leave them there. Getting their kids kidnapped, dude, sent into
Now let me ask you this, because
brutal stuff.
This is something that I think that a lot of people wonder, but they never ask. The people that are crossing over with coyotes. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they try to come in through the regular port of entry and just come in? Do you think it's because of like you said?
They're not going to get in. They're not. They haven't even started the process.
Because you need a visa or something.
Yeah, you have to start out some way, somehow, right, on the other side to come here legally.
See, I take it for granted because when I drive down to Mexico, I just drive through and I show them my ID. I don't have to.
And in Mexico, which a lot of people don't know, and I found out this in 2008. There's Mexicans in Mexico that are even born without social security numbers themselves of their own. own country's social security. You know what I mean?
So when a Mexican comes through the border and one of these ports, what are they showing? Their passport?
Yeah, you have to have a passport. You have to have documentation where you're going.
So these people that are crossing in between, well, some of them are criminals that definitely won't be able to come by the port of entry, but some of them are just regular people that don't have access to this kind of documentation or the paperwork or the process to be able to go through the regular port.
Oh yeah, of course. Everything takes money.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I figured if they have a license, maybe they can just come here and just stay and start working.
I don't think it's that easy, dude. I mean, I think it's that easy if you can, do something where, you can learn the identity of somebody else and they let you borrow their documentation. You know what I mean? I've heard stories of where a kid went to Mexico with his family and the kid died. And that family sold the social security number and identity to a Mexican in Mexico, and he came over, he worked and developed a life. You know what I mean? Wow. Little stories like that. But when you go over to Mexico, you have to. They're going to ask you. Customs is going to ask you how long you're going to be there for.
Right.
Give me an address of where you're going to be staying or what hotel, stuff like that.
I mean, the last time I drove down there was about a year and a half, but not the Mexican customs.
Yeah, dude.
When I drive down there,
are you just going there for the day?
Yeah, for the weekend or whatever.
Yeah. You just tell me you're going there for the weekend. But if you're going to go past a week or 2 weeks like that, you have to make a declaration.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, this is me driving through Tijuana.
Yeah, I've been.
When I've landed, obviously on an airplane, there's the whole customs form.
Right.
Interesting.
But yeah, I've been over there just for the day to go eat tacos and then come back.
Right.
You know, when we go down to San Diego.
Oh, there's good food in Tijuana.
Oh, forget about it, dude. Even being in Tijuana compared to LA, it's 20 times or 100 times better. Just because, again, you got a dude that's been a taquero for 40 years. He has a mad skill that's dude, makes it taste like.
What's the one between Tijuana and Ensenada? The place.
What's that? Rosarito.
Rosarito. Oh,
yeah, bomb ass fish tacos there.
Oh yeah,
dude. I mean, the best, dude.
You eat good.
Okay,
it's a tricky issue, I think, with Mexican Americans, because I think that just trying to decipher. Do you think that the left takes for granted the Latino vote?
Yeah, but I think
they make a bunch of promises that they don't fill, because the DACA kids should have had their amnesty already.
Well, let me tell you my theory on the DACA kids, dude. They should have just never been messed with in the first place, and we would never be into this mess. And I'm saying we or those kids, because Obama did that under his administration. So you had a document, and it said once you sign up for this, you have to re-register every so amount of years. It was like my buddy that works for ICE. He's like, oh, dude, he's tricking them, bro. And I was like, damn. So now you have to, which is good that you document yourself now. But now you're in limbo when another administration comes into effect with different policies. You know what I mean? And whether they're going to put them in effect or even help you out or not. You know, now you're all, okay, cool. I was legal for 2 years. I was like a legal alien or a legal immigrant. And now I'm like, not legal, and I can get deported if I get pulled over and they find out.
It almost seems though that they wanted to keep, these kids in play as a political football, because I believe
that's
that
all it is.
Obama could have probably made the amnesty thing happening, but he said no, he didn't get the points for Obamacare. Yeah, and so I think that what happens is they showed, the Democrats showed that they do something for these kids so that they can keep going to school or working here. But because it's a time limit, it's like, okay, well, we're going to go fight for you in the next election, so vote for us in the next election. And then you have the right but Trump, in the previous negotiations, because he wants his wall, he said something to the effect that maybe he'd consider giving these DACA kids some sort of amnesty in exchange for the wall. What do you think about that deal? If that deal comes up, do you think that's the deal that should be taken? Fund a wall and then tear it down later.
Well, that's the whole argument now.
Get these kids amnesty.
Is the fact that he got some money, but now he's trying to go through an executive order or going to Congress where it's this is a crisis and it's an invasion of our borders. And then Congress said, dude, even Republicans said, no, it's not an emergency, bro. You got to chill out. But do I think they have to do something? They definitely have to do something, because they started something. The fire started, right? What are you going to do with it? Put it out or let it keep going? Secondly is for children that are brought here as infants, or you don't know anything else and you're raised here, and this is all you know, to get thrown back, that's kind of like, if you really stand for the values of the Constitution, this is the only country where immigrants even have rights. Mm-hmm. You can go to a lot of other countries in the world, and you don't get no rights.
Right.
Congress ain't lobbying or even bringing it up in the discussion, dude. You know what I mean? It's not on the news. You're out, dude. You know what I mean? So at least here you have a say-so, at least an opportunity to at least be listened to. But those kids, they're kind of victims of what their parents did. I mean, if you look at it legally, well, the law is a law, but too, the law isn't always black and white, as we know. There's a lot of gray involved, and there has to be something worked out. But I think there's not a lot of concentration on that. I think a lot of politicians, especially at that level when you're at Congress or whatnot, you're just out there raising money. So maybe it's like where you're getting your money, that's what's important to you.
Is Beto O'Rourke Mexican?
No, he's of Irish stock. He's a white dude.
Where did this Beto thing come out?
I believe, from what I heard, what I've read, is that his the homemaker or the housekeeper gave him that name because his name was Robert, and they called him Beto for short. Yeah, man. What I think about Beto O'Rourke, whatever. Same thing with all those guys. I mean, hopefully they can get somebody good to be a decent challenger to battle this guy, but which I think it's just that's gonna turn into a comedy show as soon as they start having debates.
Well, I got a theory on that too. A couple of people that I've been.
I don't think anybody's strong enough.
No. A couple of people that I like I like I'm an independent and I like the other candidates, but Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh, dude.
From
and
Hawaii.
I'm gonna tell you one thing about that lady.
Yeah.
Is I've heard her on a podcast, and she brought my light to to how it is to be sensible and reasonable, and
That's
not just
exactly
not about. And again, it's all money, it's all hype. There's a lot of other factors involved. And the other thing too, I mean, if you want to speak on courage, dude, that lady's she's actually active military. I think she's a reserve.
I believe she was in the Navy. Yeah.
Yeah, but still,
and she spoke out. She actually said, well, you know what? I actually support Trump and wanted to get out of Syria. I want to get. So she's not partisan, which is why she doesn't have any support from the Democrats, by the way.
Well, yeah, I heard a lot of that because she got misinterpreted about Azad or something like that. Or she went out to Syria, but nevertheless.
Yeah. So we got and then Andrew Yang is someone even though I don't necessarily agree with the UBI, with the what is it called, Universal Basic Income? Yeah, but I do feel that that's a new voice. I'm into having new voices come in with new ideas, even if I don't necessarily agree with that idea.
Yeah, that's a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. One thing that's bad is that you don't know how to work the system, and not that eventually everybody's going to get corrupt, but you have to kind of go with the status quo. Like, stuff changes, but very slowly. You know what I mean? And in the 1960s, it was illegal to have a joint of marijuana. That was a felony. Right. Now it's not. You know what I mean? So that's different. So you're skeptical of Andrew Yang? You think he's I'm not skeptical. I think he's actually a very bright dude.
Well, I think that he's going to end up running independent.
I think that with him that's going to definitely happen or should happen. But with Tulsi Gabbard, I think that's almost like her option is like the machine, the Democratic machine. I don't even call it the party right now. Is that they kind of don't want her in there, And it's like, dude, she'd be like out of everybody right now. She to me is like
the most reasonable
voice of that and the voice of the people, and a very genuine soul, opposed to. And I'm not trashing her, but like someone that used to be like the Attorney General here in the state of California. Yeah, she's talking about, she was, and I'm not downing anybody that smokes weed, really uses weed. I think you do whatever you want to do. Just don't hurt anybody, whatever, right?
But she put a lot of people in jail.
Well, yeah, exactly. But she's not talking about pot and all that. It's like,
the optics of Kamala Harris is probably the best in the way that she has,
it's funny.
the qualities.
You seem like you're pretty on it, like politically, what's going on.
I'm very politically,
because I'm listening to your wavelengths and it's making sense.
Well, I'm an Obama voter, but I don't side with the Democrats anymore. I've always been a registered independent, ever since I was in high school.
And you're and you come from Miami. You come from Florida. That's a stronghold.
It's a stronghold.
The Republican Party.
Very much so, but Miami's still it's still very blue.
But that's
but there is a lot of Republicans.
A lot of work ethic. A lot of people that believe in business.
Yes.
That's why they think that it's not necessarily a bunch of other policy.
Not so much evangelical, even though you have that in North Florida. But and then with the Cubans, it's mostly the old Cubans because they're leaving a communist country. So it's like, who's the opposite of the communists here? All the Republicans.
Boom. We'll go with this one.
But younger Cubans definitely tend to be more blue. But I just want people that aren't necessarily, that don't let others do their thinking for them, that aren't bought off by lobbyists. And so I see that in Tulsi Gabbard, and all the establishment candidates seem to be bought off. The Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. I used to like Elizabeth Warren. I don't think she's presidential. Let's be honest,
dude. And then the correlations too with you know about the cheating scandal, and then you got a lady like that honestly, dude, anybody, and it's not, sometimes you can't look at somebody and figure out what they are, but you gotta tell me that there's that's a white lady right there, man.
Totally. Come on, man. Oh wait, you're talking about when she said that she was Cherokee Indian?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
On, bro. It's like, really?
That's hilarious. And then she stepped in it by showing her ancestry report.
But the other thing too, you could look at contrast her with the Dreamer. Maybe she grew up, her dad told her, we're half Indian. Elizabeth
I
or
know.
Liz,
But,
and then like she never knew, and she goes, yeah, I am Cherokee.
But
you
she
know?
took the place.
Could I?
She took a scholarship from someone that was much more Native American. Look, I've done my ancestry report. Yeah, I've done my ancestry
What do
report.
you think about it? You think it's baloney or what?
Well, look, it said that she's like between 1/164th and 1/500th Native American. Look, I did my ancestry report. I'm 5% African.
Oh, really?
I'm black.
Yeah, I didn't.
And I'm 10% Middle Eastern. So can you imagine if I applied for an African American scholarship and I show up and I go, but I'm 5% black, which is 100 times more
They'll call the cops on you,
than
dude.
Elizabeth Warren is Native American. No, I'm not going to do that. So I think it was a little disingenuous of her, even if she has a trace of being a Native American. Well, that's an interesting. So yeah, look, I'm hoping for you as a candidate that look, you sound like a reasonable person. So get in the council and rise through the ranks and get on the state legislature. We need more comedians in government. Don't you think so?
I don't think whether it's a person's a comedian or not, just somebody that's cool and reasonable and wants to keep it moving forward, dude.
All right, but listen,
too much bitching and complaining, dude.
Can I ask you this? Do you think
it,
you're on a podcast? Earlier, actually, this has been one of the more safer podcasts we've done, and we have the director behind the camera. He's coming in now, but you weren't necessarily trying to censor yourself.
No, dude. Listen, dude. Like my life,
doesn't bother you.
Nah, dude. I mean, what could you say? Like, it's nothing there's nothing to hide, dude. It's pretty transparent, and that's one thing. You want to be accessible in that sense of the word. But yeah, there's really nothing to hide. Now, if I was like, maybe the dude's like a fraudster from beneath or an ex-rapist, who knows? With all this coming out, but nah, dude. My stuff is out there, dude.
I think that you're a stand-up comedian. We take our skeletons out of the closet and we throw them up on the comedy stage. So as a politician, they're not gonna get you on anything. Hey, Rodrigo, thanks for coming, man. Rodrigo Torres, where can we hear your stuff?
You can go to my Instagram page, Facebook, YouTube. Instagram handle is at Rodrigo Torres Jr. Junior's JR. Twitter, same thing, and Facebook as well.
Awesome, man.
So yeah, man, check out the What's Up Full podcast. Check out the Yeah Man podcast. Other than that, Humberto, thank you so much, and keep shining, man.
Hey, thanks for being on Checkitow.
Yeah, man.